Could you explain what the Q Club is to those who don't know what it is?
The Q Club was a venue in a Grade 2 listed building called the Methodist Central Hall. And it's a Grade 2 starred listed building. It was opened in 1903 as a Methodist church, and its listing, Grade 2 starred listing, is only about 5% of the buildings in the country have that listing. So it's a really, I mean, I mentioned the Crown earlier. That's a Grade 2 listed building. This is Grade 2 starred. It's a really important architectural building. As I say, it's opened in 1903 as a church. The Methodists built it. It's opposite the law courts in Birmingham, so it's in the city centre. It's a red terracotta building. It's got a massive big tower that you can see from most places around the city centre, depending on where you are. And it's got trees growing out of it and graffiti on it. Right, it's a real shame. But it started life as a Methodist church. So what that means is, it's a very grandiose building, and you go in through the doors, and you go up these beautiful steps, and you go into a main hall, which just takes your breath away. It's tiered seating, glass windows all around, huge stage with an organ, as I say, tiered seating, and then it's got must be 30 odd rooms all around the atrium that you walk into, the basement. I used to go there in the 80s for what we call record fairs, but in 1991, I think it was, a guy called Billy Gaff bought it. And Billy Gaff was Rod Stewart's manager, and he had a club in London called the Marquee Club, and he just chopped the last letters off, and that's why it's called the Q Club. And he opened it up as primarily as a live music venue. Bands like Blur, James, Daft Punk, David Bowie would play there. Some really substantial bands, Run DMC, Wu-Tang Clan. So live music, but very quickly turned into sort of rave/dance music venue, and that was because of the timing. 93, 94, the Criminal Justice Act bill came in, and that basically made repetitive beats outside really difficult to program. So everyone was looking for spaces indoors, and so you had this Gothic, or not even Gothic, you had this terracotta church that had all these rooms and this amazing central hall that you could program. So very quickly, nights like Space Opera, Atomic Jam, Third Eye, House of God, Bubble Club, the Velvet Club would book this space, and they'd sort of rotate it, and they put on these massive dance and rave events indoors. And so you had like everyone would play there, you know, from hard techno, Jeff Mills to DJs like Carl Cox on the sort of more sort of techie house, and everyone in between. And you'd have, you know, 2,000, 3,000 people turning up every week, and they'd rotate and they'd dress this club up. And when you went in, because of the building, it was just this like, motors used to set their DJs up the back staircase and then just open the door, and they'd see 2,000 people just going off their heads, just dancing to, like, you know, whatever the music it was, and the balconies would be wobbling like, and people would stand on the balconies dancing. But what you could then do is go off into the other rooms, and you might have a chill out room, you might have a drum and bass room, you might have a garage room, you might have a trip hop room, you might have a hip hop room. So they could program all these different rooms, so you could have a little bit of respite, or you just go in, you know, you're just wandering out all these rooms. It was the one of the great clubs of the UK. It was so brilliant. People travel all over the country to go to these nights. It was fairly unique. So the live music still happened, but less so. Just like I say, it became this sort of mecca for dance music, and that's what the Q Club was. And then it closed in 2002, and then reopened in 2007, then closed in 2017. And so it was this brilliant in the heart of town, and it was sold in late 2000s. We were working with them to have some connection to the rave, or to the music venue. They sold it to another investor, an Irish company, who were going to put in a rooftop bar, speakeasy underneath, a live music venue in the middle, some rooms, some hotel rooms, and then a load of F&B at the bottom. And I worked with them again. They were talking to me about how they could use some of the materials from the Q Club, as you know, as in the building, around the building, and how to program a live music venue there. And that was all going well. And then they went really quiet about 2 years or so ago. And I found out a couple of weeks ago that they've sold, or they've gone into, or part of their business has gone into administration. So it now resides with a investment company, and we're not sure what's happening. No one quite knows. And the building is deteriorating at a rapid rate. there's a lot of rough sleepers getting in there, because of the weather. So there's a real worry that the building is at real danger of fire, of just, the windows are open, so there's loads of birds getting in, collapsing. It's a real issue. So I know the City Council are looking at enforcement, and I know there's lots of conversations going on about how do we say there's not so much for the music history, but it's a really beautiful, important building.
It's so important to keep it alive because it's got so much heritage involved in it.
So much heritage, and that street, Corporation Street, should be an absolute hum of student activity, live music.
Such an opportunity that's been wasted.
I mean, I think it's not just me, it's lots of people. We need a sympathetic, the trouble is it's so expensive that I need some viability, but we need a sympathetic developer to come in and realise the potential for it, whether that's student accommodation or whether it's a student union, or whether it's development and live music and good bars to hang out in, and that will drag the rest of that street. You can't do anything about the law courts. The law courts will always be there, but there's plans at the top end. You got Sawfish around the corner, so there's a load that goes on that Corporation Street. But the Q Club is central to that development. And I hope that whoever owns it now will see the benefit of it and do it, and it becomes it connects to the city centre, and it extends the city centre out, and it becomes a real brilliant piece of real estate again.
It's also just such an important place of worship as well, because I watched your documentary in the queue, and one of the people that went there said it's like music is a form of worship. Exactly. And the fact that it's in a Methodist hall where they used to worship as well, it's just the opportunity is endless, and it's so upsetting to see that it's been deteriorated.
We previously spoke to Sophie Lewis at the Hippodrome Archive, and she briefly mentioned a project that you're doing working with the Hippodrome. Could you talk about that?
So that's in beta, so it's in testing at the moment, and that's with Birmingham Open Media, Southside Bid District, and a number of organisations or venues. So the best way I describe it is it's like a discovery tool. It's an app on your phone, smartphone. It's a discovery tool for people if you live in Birmingham or you're visiting the city, and we're testing out how people can use it as a guide to discover the city, to go around the city. It's quite a small piece of work. This is about music heritage, and we've got 5 venues in each of the bid districts. So the business improvement districts are areas where businesses pay extra on top of their business rates. That money goes back into improving the area. So Colmore is a great example. It's one of the oldest ones. They do lots of street wardens, or they do street festivals or art. So that money that the businesses put in goes back into improving their area. So Southside, which is where the Hippodrome is based. Colmore Row, or the business district, the financial area. West Side, which is like Broad Street. Jewellery Quarter, which is the Jewellery Quarter, and then the Central Retail Bid, which is like the shopping area. So those 5 areas, and we have picked 5 venues. So the Hippodrome, which is a theatre but has an extensive music history there. The Jam House, which is just down on Jewellery Quarter. We struggled a little bit in terms of the central area, in terms of Colmore, but we've got the Grand Hotel. It's where Nina Simone, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles all stayed when they came here, and lots of jazz bands played there. West Side, the Rum Runner Club, where Duran Duran sort of started, and the central one is the Town Hall, which just about comes in the central. And what we have created there is an avatar for each building. So Ozzy Osbourne at the Town Hall, Judy Garland at Southside, Nina Simone at the Grand Hotel, Jules Holland at Jam House, and I've missed one, Duran Duran at the Rum Runner Club. And they greet you when you turn up. You put your phone on, and through augmented reality, Ozzy Osbourne will pop up, and he'll be this big, and he'll look at it and say hello, look at the town hall, and there will be a range of photographs that show some of the history and the heritage of the town hall, some of the posters, some of the photographs. There'll be some written text about it, so the town hall was opened in such and such a year. These are some of the bands that played. There'll be some video on there, so you can get video footage, and that's the same at each venue. And what you can then do from in the app is you can go, oh, I didn't know Bob Dylan was playing at the Town Hall tonight, or I didn't know such and such was playing in 2 weeks' time, or the Symphony Hall. I'll buy a ticket. So from in the app, you can go and buy a ticket. So it links the history and the heritage to the contemporary, and all that money goes back. So it's not there's no money making in this app. It's the venues themselves control it, and all we're doing is we link into their ticketing system. So go back to the Hippodrome, you might be able to buy tickets for the Nutcracker that's on over Christmas. And the idea being, and as you walk around the city, these little AR things pop up, that this building is where bomb is, or this building is, so not so much detail, but little points. And what we hope is that we'll extend the music heritage. So I think I mapped 132 music space and places across inner Birmingham, in terms of retail bids, so not outside the city, not in Digbeth even, just in the city. I think it's about 133 for it. So that's what we call it, Discovery Tour. They've obviously got to go. Bomb's got to go and find the money now, but it's a brilliant piece of work. I'm really really pleased to be part of. I'm hoping that we extend the music one bigger, over more than the 5 venues. But yeah, we're just in that beta, so they're getting feedback. And
So thank you so much, Jez, for coming and talking to us today.
it's a pleasure. Thank you for taking the interest, and thanks for asking.